Earthshot for cleaner air goes to GAYO.
Thank you.
The Green Africa Youth Organization is a pioneering force in environmental activism across the African continent. Winner of the Earthshot Prize in 2024, GAYO is empowering young Africans to take the lead in the fight against climate change, transforming advocacy into action. At the heart of this movement is GAYO's co-founder, Desmond Alugnoa. Desmond Alugnoa, welcome to the VIP show.
Thank you so much, Linord. I am happy to be here, and thank you for giving me the space to interact with you.
Well, it's great to have you, and congratulations on GAYO winning the 2024 Earthshot Prize in the Clean Our Air category. That's an extraordinary recognition. What did that moment feel like, and what does it mean for youth-led climate work in Africa?
It felt amazing. I still don't know how to describe the feeling because it's a feeling of recognition. It's a feeling of admiration. It is a proof of the potency of the solution. And I remember a few years ago when I started this particular program under GAYO, I had no clue. I was really just working with community members because I believed in the solution and I knew that there could be a significant change in people's lives if we worked together. But getting recognized and getting an award of £1 million was not something that I anticipated. So when we were announced winners in November last year, for me, this was a point of excitement. It was a point that I thought that all of us as young people globally should jubilate and also believe in ourselves even where we had doubts because yeah, it was a prize watched and viewed by the whole world. So you can imagine being at the center stage and being mentioned, how the feeling could be like.
Well, congratulations again on such a fabulous work you did, you along with your team. So, before we get into the gist of it, take us back to the beginning, right? To your childhood. What was your first relationship with nature when you were growing up? And when did you first become aware that the environment needed protecting?
Oh, that's way back. So I am from the extreme northern part of Ghana, closer to Burkina Faso. And my parents, my mom and dad, are all farmers. None of them have been to school. And in fact, my elder brothers and sisters equally did not go to school. So when I started, it was normal to follow the cattle and animals and support your parents on the farm because that's what everybody does. So I would say my first encounter was having these animals uh, to graze on the ground and the smell of a fresh rain when you take your cattle out and how you can play with the soil and feel safe. And when you ingest something, you are not scared of falling sick. I think that was my childhood experience, feeling safe and sound with nature. And so the difference between that and now is so big that it can scare anyone into uh, stepping in to try to prevent a catastrophe. And I think at the point where I realized and I started knowing about what climate change is, I had already started acting on climate because at the time where I realized that certain trees were no longer doing well in certain areas, there were shifts in rainfall patterns. And where you used to graze animals, you see that certain grasslands have shifted or they are no longer there. I already knew there was something wrong with the environment. I didn't know the terminology to describe it, but I knew that there was something that was not going well like the previous years.
So, at what point did the activist in you became triggered? When did you decide that you wanted to do something about it?
This would be now maybe 14, 15 years ago when prior to becoming an activist for the environment, I was what people would usually describe as political activist because I was always fighting for young people representation in meeting rooms. 'Cause I didn't think that our voices were best captured by other generations that were not young people. And with the continuous challenges in rainfall pattern, rainfall quite too late and leaving rather too early and coming from farming communities, these are very visible for me. And so when I was in my first year in the university, I think this is where the spark moment came because in my first year in the university, I wanted to study molecular biology. And my whole idea was to move towards becoming a doctor in the future. But then, while I was in that first year, and I studied in the University of Cape Coast, it's a coastal city in Ghana, having the interaction with the ocean and seeing the pollution that was really evident on the shore. And then going back to campus, seeing how people are not so conscious about where they drop rubbish or waste, and also the way sometimes trees are just fell for no apparent reason. Somebody wants to construct a small building and will fall down a whole tree that is somewhere near the road. That point was the point where I started saying that no, we need to do something. And luckily, I had a lot of young people in me with me because now I was in the university, and so I'm sitting in the class with people, and my contributions attracted a lot of people as friends or people who actually also reason the same way. So this was the very beginning where I believe that going hard on activism around the environment and climate change was necessary and should be now.
So tell us, what is GAYO doing today in terms of your day-to-day work? What is the mission and what are you fighting against and what sorts of results are you seeing?
GAYO has over 50 employees um, operating in 7 countries, projects in 7 countries. We have 3 country offices: Ghana, Botswana, and Uganda. And some of the work that we are doing, some of it is directly tackling emissions with respect to methane gas, which is a clear uh, greenhouse gas that is very, very potent, even more potent than carbon dioxide in a short period of time. Some of that, a chunk of that is coming from waste. And so we are diverting waste from landfills because when it goes to the landfill, it emits that methane. We are diverting that waste from landfill, composting it, and bearing it back to the soil through selling these compost to farmers who are greening the environment and some who are actually cultivating crops. So if you were in Accra for a week, chances are that the vegetables, the cabbage, the lettuce, the tomatoes that you will eat might have been uh, nurtured with compost from GAYO. That's some of the impact. And also doing this, I mean, in the waste sector in Africa, a lot of people, because of there's difficulty in getting jobs, a lot of people are actually informal waste workers. They are engaged in salvaging waste for recycling, salvaging waste for their own economic gains. And so what we did is leveraging all these waste pickers, integrating them into government waste management plans, subscribing them to health insurance, ensuring that they understand financial management skills, how to save the little monies they are making, and then establishing material recovery facilities. These are fiscal spaces where recycling happens. So they are able to station their waste and be able to have more volumes and bargaining power with the recycling companies. So as we speak, one of the impact is that several waste pickers. In Accra, the city of Accra alone, we work with over 5,000 waste pickers. We are talking of people who are able to keep their kids in school, pay their fees because they are now able to make savings from the activity that they have been doing for years without being able to make savings. Being safe from harassment by public or police, being safe from stigmatization, because we make the work now dignified for everyone who is involved. So these are some of the benefits or some of the uh, things I would consider milestones or success stories. Some of them not so visible from the outside, but then the people who are involved really know and appreciate that their lives have been lifted from one stage to a better level.
If you were to summarize the problem that air pollution causes and poor waste management causes in your environment and even in Africa as a whole, how would you summarize it?
There are a lot of statistics out there. And for our work, we recently just published um, open burning hotspots in the city of Accra alone. When we cumulatively look at this, we are talking of over 8,000 children that are dying from pollution, mainly coming from open burning of waste and air pollution in general. And when you look at that in health respect, you also have to look at it in terms of how much this problem has stopped people from being able to be in school, from being able to pursue their dreams, and the cumulative impact of that in a year, in few years to come, is going to be very astronomical. What we have been able to do has been to make sure that we divert this waste, we educate the public, and then we stop the burning of waste, particularly. In terms of climate change in general, what we have also started doing is train young people to be able to enter policy spaces and negotiate, not only for the government of Ghana, but for the Africa group of negotiators. Africa negotiates as a bloc when we go for the climate conferences, where we make the agreement, where we make the decrees that actually then govern everybody. Now, in these rooms, there's significant gap in terms of capacity and also in terms of the knowledge. And so what we have been doing since 2022 is train young climate negotiators who now go from year to year to the conferences of party COP to support their governments across Africa in negotiating different pillars. These people are transitioning our leadership from where it used to be into a more futuristic one, a more sustainable one, and building capacity, technical expertise for everyone who is involved. This is helping us to broker knowledge, not only in those rooms, but also at community level, because we are working with young people who are so creative and energetic at the same time. People who didn't have knowledge about the pollution with respect to waste are now separating waste at home. And that separation at source alone is a significant behavioral change that we always are proud of.
As a leader, what is your message when you meet those young people?
Well, because of my own personal story where passion met climate change and it turned out to be my career path, and also looking at the way job security is always a challenge in the continent, unemployment rate is high. Most of the time, even if I don't mean to say it, I end up just telling young people that what the power of your thinking or the power of your brain can achieve, nobody can take that from you. And so work on what you believe in, take the problems that are facing you, and stop looking at things at um, very fancy state. The problems that are near you usually offers you the best space to start acting, and that can turn out to be the career path that will take you forever. So most of the time, that's basically what I tell people. I tell people what they need to do is to look at what they already have and not always concentrate on, I need to, for example, I mean, I don't know how much you know about this, but there's there's so much it's so much it happens so much often that young people in West Africa would always think that they need to go to abroad before they make it. And I always tell them that it's not always that way. If it happened, that is fine. Otherwise, what you need to believe in is that you can make it right where you are by being consistent and by being proactive with solving or trying to solve the problems that come your way.
What would you say has been the key to turning awareness into sustained commitment, especially among young people that are juggling economic pressures and climate activism? I think you touched on it a little bit.
I would say consistency in the messaging. For us, when we started GAYO, we were about 7 young people. Now, with time, because of economic pressure and not having jobs and what have you, some people had to drop. But then, particularly on the community campaign aspect, I've always maintained that you need to be consistent, you need your message to be clear, and you need allies. So, one thing that we've done for the clean aspect of work has been to work with community members, traditional authorities, have zero waste ambassadors. These are basically community people who have some level of respect, even though they are young people, but they are within the communities. We work with these people and establish a consistent campaign that is localized enough so people, everybody feel like they are the zero waste champions, rather than looking at the GAYO people are coming or the GAYO people are doing this. Everybody felt that they are GAYO. And I think that was the point that I started seeing real change. At the beginning, it was difficult. You will organize people, clean up beaches, and the next time you go and the beach is dirty again because people don't understand the message. People think it is your work. People don't think it is our work. But at the point where people realize, no, this is our work, we are doing this, then they begin to be part. And usually, those people living in the community, they know the origin of the problem. And so when they are part of it, they start solving it even before you get there.
How does GAYO ensure African youth are not just at the table, but actually shaping the solutions?
So we have various aspects. Now, we have for about maybe 5 years now, we started the Africa Climate Innovation Challenge. Why was this necessary? When we organize, we empower, we build capacity, we have a lot of young people believing in the message and they go trying. They become entrepreneurs, they set up small scale businesses, small to medium scale businesses. But then, who is there to guide them and who is there to support them financially? So we set up the Africa Climate Innovation Challenge, which particularly support financially and also program development wise to young people who have innovative ideas, who have piloted, some of them who have piloted already and are looking for means to scale. This is one way that we are helping them to directly act beyond just holding placards and hitting the street. Last year, we set up the Africa Youth Climate Fund. Now, the Africa Youth Climate Fund, which I have stepped down and I'm just on the advisory board. The Africa Youth Climate Fund looks at 3 pillars. It looks at research, so supporting people in universities who are pursuing different kind of research and usually are hindered because of financial resources. We have equipped a laboratory in the University of Cape Coast, for example, my alma mater, mainly just to ensure that that gap of, oh, we don't have the necessary equipment is overcome. And then we are supporting the students to be able to pursue the research that they want to do. The second part of this is movement building. Movement building talks about building capacity, building the number of people to take up campaigns that really matter, significant campaigns that can shift the focus of a government. And then the last part is, of course, business and entrepreneurship. That funding aspect goes specifically to support scaling of big ideas, young people who are already implementing, young people who are already uh, producing something. This aspect of the funding targets really helping them to move from point of piloting to point of scaling. So these are some of the ways that we actually ensure that young people are not only campaigning and advocating, but they are also directly addressing the climate issue. So as I am speaking, part of the ACIC, which was the first, the Africa Climate Innovation Challenge that I mentioned, there are already people, young people from there, whose businesses have scaled across different countries. And these businesses are climate solutions that are changing the world.
You won the Earthshot Prize. How has this recognition shifted things on the ground?
One way that it has shifted our work is in terms of political will. You know, the Earthshot Prize founder is the Prince of Wales, Prince Williams. So already politically, that that is a name that has value. Politicians hear and then they feel that, wow, they are recognized by the Prince of Wales. So already that alone made our phones rang a lot, where different mayors from different cities are making phone calls and asking, hey, we would love to have you in our city, which is a very good opportunity, because the way we work with governments. We don't want to work alone. We always want to have political will from the government, ensuring that our solution is there to stay, with or without funding at some point. And so getting the government calling us is a significant shift. The other thing is also, of course, directly having the resources, the financial resources. For example, in Ghana, one of the challenges we used to have was in terms of infrastructure, having basic uh, machinery like balers to add value to waste, where they are piled up and you need a baler to just compress it into a bale. We didn't have that. We have just few. And now we've been able to procure more because we got the funding. So, what money can do, we've been able to scale using money, you know. And then also in general, we have formed a lot of new partnerships, which not necessarily come to reference the Earthshot Prize, but then a lot of them is because we've become more popular than we used to be. And the Earthshot Prize was what also made us brought so much popularity. So there's been a lot of significant differences from the past to now.
So remind me again how much money you won.
Provided I'm not going to share with you.
Okay.
The money was £1 million, and which is good, which is really good if you
This is
are,
great.
yeah, if you are doing the kind of work we are doing, where money is where a lot of funders look at you like, yeah, young people, have you handled this amount of money before and all of that, then this money is really good. But then beyond the cash is also the connections, right? The Earthshot Prize has a whole list of partners who do not necessarily finance the Earthshot Prize, but work directly with um, grantees of Earthshot Prize or finalists of Earthshot Prize. So we've also been connected with different partners that have also been very helpful.
That's great. Congratulations. So listen, we're going to shift gears a little bit before we wrap and get to know you a little more. I know we went back to your childhood, but uh, tell me at this point, Is there a book that has significantly shaped your thinking, either about your environmental work, leadership, or your life in general?
Is there a book? I think there's been um, there was one. Um, Now I'm trying to remember the name, but it's called "So Many Leaders, So Little Leadership." The second name of the author is Stanko.
Okay.
I will remember it later. That book is literally what it means when it says "so many leaders, so little leadership," because it speaks about how getting people to come and rally behind a certain cause, the strategies. And then it also speaks about how to sustain that for a longer period of time. Another book that I love is, I think it's written by David Brooks. It's called The Road to Character. The Road to Character, it speaks also, I'm not sure if this is the kind of vibe that you like to have in books, but it talks about character though, but then it talks about your persona, and says that in most cases the average person always have a conflicting desires. One desire is the one that is connected directly with nature, the one, if you are religious, the one that is connected with God, where you are like, I'm seeking a higher power, I'm seeking the truth, I'm being humble, and I want to just be good to nature, and I want to pursue nature to the best of my ability. I want to be good to everyone. And then there's the other version of it, of the same person, that is also seeking um, advancement because of worldly what is defined, for example, as development, as career progression. So this version of you is seeking to be competitive, is seeking to have enough money in your bank account to be able to go to places where you want, seeking to have certain recognition when you take up stage, seeking to have some level of aura when you enter a room. Now these people can say selfish desires, but then it is what defines society in most cases. So you have one person always having this. And in this, we climate activists find ourselves in that. You see in one moment, I don't want to fly this, I don't want to fly this distance, I want to do this, I want to plant trees. But then at the end of the day, you also want, when you are not well, you want to be able to afford the best medical care. At the end of the day, you want to be able to take time and go and relax in a cozy place, which requires a lot of money, which you have to, So being here and there, that's what Road to Character kind of talks about. And I love it because it really fits so well with working around the topics of climate change and working with people, especially working with waste pickers, where you sometimes you won't get the accolades, but then some people will get the accolades, but then you have to be happy that that is an achievement. And then on the other hand, you are also looking for, hey, I want to get to this stage. I want to become maybe the UN Secretary General. I want to become this because I want to be able to have the power to make changes A, B, C, D. And unless you have that authority, you cannot make those changes. So you have your humble self in you.
You are well read for sure, because I didn't even share this question with you in advance. Very interesting. So every leader has a guiding principle or life motto that anchors them, especially during challenging times. So what is yours?
Well, I think it might be so simple, but my guiding principle is that I'm only desperate enough to create positive impact. I don't want to create problems for myself or anyone. And so my desperation only stops at the level where I'm creating positive impact. An example of that is that I've always felt like I'm too young to be cutting corners to success, for example. I will not cut corners to success, but I will be desperate to make a positive change. And so it's a measured kind of desperation and not a desperation to get wealthy or a desperation to be famous. And of course, humanity first. If I look at the value of something and it is costing more harm to someone else, whether present in this same space or not, then it's not worth pursuing.
So, looking ahead, what is your vision for the next generation of African environmental leaders?
I think it's been so long that African environmental leaders have always been at the low end of everything. They struggle, they struggle, they struggle. Yet they are the ones who sit with the resources and they have very creative minds. My next goal and what I'm really hoping that we can collectively bring to bear is that African environmental leaders get value for their effort that they are putting to make change in the system. What I mean is that they are able to sit in rooms and actually argue as equal people that are also capable of taking leadership to the next level, that they are paid for the work that they are doing and not always just seen as activists who do not need anything to sustain themselves. This is one way to be able to really make significant change where you create equity of resources and equality among people.
Very good, very good. It was so good to speak with you. Now we have the final stop, which is a game. It's the VIP game, and it's a few rapid fire questions. You don't think too much, you just go ahead and answer them. Are you ready?
Oh my God, I hope I'm ready.
All right, it's very easy. Listen, first question: morning person or night owl?
Night all.
One African city every young person should visit, and why?
Zanzibar, because it has historical relevance to slavery and it's also cozy. It's beautiful.
If you were not in environmental activism, what would you be doing?
Farming,
The one thing about climate change you wish more people understood.
that each individual's small action contributes to the outcome, which is climate change.
Last question, very important. Banku or jollof rice?
Banku.
I see.
Yeah,
And who is your favorite cook?
my brother, my elder brother is my favorite cook. Oh, the guy is good.
So next time I go to London, please give me his number.
Yes, I will be happy. You will love it. You give you variety of dishes in 30 minutes.
All right, Desmond, you are young, you are a leader, and you are part of 70% of Africa's population. What is your final message to the youth of Africa or to all of Africa?
I would say the young people represent the true Africa. Let's recognize them and let's give them the power and the authority they need. And I would say to the young people, believe in yourself. Nobody really knows it all. And it only takes time to realize that you are also very good with what you know.
Fantastic. And the message is clear. Desmond Alugnoa, thank you so much.